Yo, part two. Part two of this catch up. Eric and Jocelyn and catch up. On the recap, they were in Greece and they got into an argument, which ultimately ended things. So we're gonna pop the balloon or find love. Let's finish this up, part two. Do, do,
So
do.
I also wanted to set some boundaries to help me respect her boundaries. So I think that's where the initial communication malfunction occurred, perhaps. Um, and she, to backtrack, when people argue, everyone argues a certain way. My way of calming down is to take breaks and move away and relax, write things down, and then come back and talk about them. And I told her this in the beginning. We were trying to figure out our argumentative styles. So when this happened, I took a break and I went to sit on a stoop, and so while I was there just talking to a friend of mine, she sent me a text that she wanted to leave and asked if I could take her to the airport.
This is in Greece.
That was in Greece, like
Okay.
about the fifth day or so. And so so I was just like, well, we have an ATV, first of all, so I can't drive you to Greece. But I didn't want to do it. I said, if you want to go, just you can go. But I asked her not to go. I said, just take a moment, calm down, relax, and then you can decide later on. So that was kind of where things started spiraling.
Okay, so Jocelyn, Eric kind of touched on a bit that at one point during the trip, I believe you said on the fifth day, you said that, yeah, I'm leaving, all that stuff. What led you to come to that point?
What led me to come to that point was how we disagreed. We said words that were hurtful to each other.
What could that be? There's a list. I'm pretty sure you guys have been in arguments. You're broke. You're a bum. You're ugly. Your mama ugly. What else can you say? I mean, so many things. You're dusty. So many. So what was her for? I want to get messy. I want to get into details. But again, this is their private life. So
And I held grudges against him, which caused me to be uncomfortable while being there. And I didn't want to be uncomfortable on a vacation when it's supposed to be a good time. The way we handled the situation in general just showed ourselves. Like I showed off, he showed off, and then it just wasn't a comfortable environment to be in, especially for it to be in a different country and we don't really know each other. I just didn't feel at ease being there for more days with him. So I felt like at the time, the best way to get out of an uncomfortable situation is to leave. I'm not saying that was the best decision. Maybe I could have stayed and talked to him and talked it out. But at the time, I did what felt right to me.
Okay. And so you did actually end up leaving.
Yes, I left.
and there's nothing wrong with that. And again, they're strangers. They met on this dating show, hung out for a couple days, and then they went on a trip to a whole nother country to Greece. She's smart. Trust your instincts. Didn't feel right? Get up out of there early. I don't know. I don't know what was said.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then so after you left, have you guys been in any type of contact, any communication? You have?
Yeah, so after we left, Eric still had to come back to my apartment because we shared a suitcase coming there. So he still came back to my apartment. We talked it out. We hugged. Like we had like every discussion, every disagreement we talked about off camera, and I've apologized. He's apologized. A lot of things were already discussed. So when he came back to the apartment, like, it was fine. At least in my head, it was fine. And I walked him to the door. It was cool. Like, in my head, it was cool. And even afterwards, when he flew back to Las Vegas, I checked on him to make sure he landed safely, making sure he's getting sleep. He told me he's has more appointments. So we did keep in contact for the day after when we landed back in the States.
Okay, I see here. Jocelyn, you stated like, you guys were having disagreements. You were saying like hurtful things to one another, all of that. How was it like dealing with those disagreements?
It was aggravating. We were disagreeing on things that we were disagreeing about the boundaries that we both set for each other, which is just very childish on both of our end. But after that, we chose to react off of our emotions at the time. So, yeah, in the morning time, I didn't really think that the situation was as bad as it was. But in the morning time, like, Eric had like left, and I think he were doing laundry. I mean, he had things to do. I don't really want to say he was just up and left, but just that entire day, for the most part, we didn't really speak. It was either he was in the room and I was in the living room, or he was out shooting footage, or he was out doing laundry. So we just really weren't talking on the day after we had that huge disagreement. It was to the point, it was almost as if we were avoiding each other. And it was just weird.
So you got up the next day and just says,
Well,
go
I,
do your own
I
thing?
told her beforehand that I had to do laundry. I'd run out of clothes. I travel with a bag, you know. So I went out to do laundry. I went out running 3 miles up the hill. I was tired. When I came back, I went to bed. But before I went to bed, we'd made a plan, something she wanted to go see about 5 p.m. or so.
Okay.
And I'd slept through it. And when I woke up, I asked her, hey, you still want to go do that thing? And she's like, no. So I was like, okay, well, if you don't mind, I'm going to go and shoot some pictures or something. I'd lost the key to the apartment. So I had to go back and look for it. So that's what I did instead. So I was going back to the location where I'd run to. I found the key. I came back. And that's then where we had another set of
I'm confused about a lot that's going on. I'm following the story, but I'm confused as to something was said. Something was said, and it's irritating me because they're dancing around it. They're giving all the story. I went to go run. I lost the key, and this and that. What were the words that prompted her to say, I want to get the hell away from you and leave by myself? What were those boundaries? It's irking me.
conversations.
Okay.
Because she kind of called me to the couch and like, hey, what's going on? You know? And so I told her, I was like, there's nothing is wrong. I'm fine. I just feel like I have to be a bit more distant about cuddling and, kissing, because it feels sometimes when I try to do it, it seems like you're uncomfortable.
Told ya. She didn't want to give it up. She didn't want to get touched. She enjoyed the trip, and that's what started the tension. Should you be going on trips with people you just met and only hung out with for a week? He shouldn't have expected her. I'm gonna say that. Just because he took on a trip doesn't mean he expected her. So I know exactly what happened. He was hugging on her, kissing on her, probably rubbed up against her, and she was like, "Oh no, 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 no. This is like, let's slow it down, slow it down." And he was kind of like, "Well, damn, I'm hanging out with you every day. We here, we having a good time, we in the moment. Like, we all the way in Greece. Like, why not?" And she was probably like, "Nah, that's not what I'm doing. I told y'all. I told y'all. I'm always fucking right."
Kind of back away.
Okay.
She wants to kiss, she doesn't want to make out, things like that. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to be too overbearing, So I'm going to kind of create a little bit of a boundary. Still want to go do things, but she didn't wake me up, and she said that I should have set an alarm. So I called her passive. I said that was a passive statement because we're in this together. So, you know, wake me up. And yeah.
So all of this was before she said, I'm leaving?
No, she'd already said she was leaving in the afternoon. So
Okay.
she just decided. I mean, this is literally, I went outside to take a break, and she sent me a text, I'm going to the airport. It was so abrupt. It caught me off guard. So I was like, like, what's this nonsense? The Nigerian in me came in, and I was like, you know, I don't understand what you mean you're leaving. Go take
Yeah.
a break and relax. If you want to get an Airbnb, go get an Airbnb. You don't leave, you know, there's nothing to leave
So
for.
how long did you guys have this trip booked for?
7 days.
7 days. Okay. And then Jocelyn, you ended up leaving on the fifth day or the sixth day, or what day was it?
Was it the 4th? Was it the 5th day?
6th.
I left on the 6th day. Okay.
You left on the 6th day, yeah.
I see. Okay. So with him, with that thing you guys wanted to do, you didn't want to just like wake him up, or what was going on with that part?
So,
At that point, she was over it. At that point, she was already ready to go. She wasn't feeling him. I'm not giving it up to you. Now you got an attitude. Now you want to run and come back and go to sleep. Know exactly what was going on. She was like, I ain't waking this thing up. You know you're supposed to be up. You're supposed to be showing me a good time. Nah, you still not getting none.
we were already we already knew that there was tension before then. Before he took the nap, before everything, like the big argument happened the day before. So when he went to sleep, I don't know, it's like I don't really know how to explain it. I could have woken him up, to answer your question. I could have woken him up. However, it was already talked about what I wanted to do. It was already a time that we set. I don't know. I'm just considerate. So if I would have done that to somebody else, or somebody else would have planned something that they really wanted to do and they're dependent on me for transportation, I would have made sure that I was present for that moment. And I never woke Eric up ever. I don't wake people up out of their sleep. I would hate for somebody to wake me up out of my sleep. We actually talked about this as well. Like, that's something that we just don't do.
Oh, that's different.
I don't wake people up. That's one thing I don't like. If you oversleep, like, you oversleep. Like, it wasn't a life or death situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he overslept, then he overslept. I was upset back in the day, like, we didn't go to something I wanted to do. Okay. Like, it was fine.
So would you say like that was like the last straw for you, him oversleeping?
No, the last straw was the day before. I don't really know. So with me, it's like once my mind is made up on something, it's pretty much made. So when I booked the flight, it was kind of like already like anything he did after that was kind of like, okay, I see. And I'm leaving
So
soon
in
anyway.
on this 7 day trip, or six, I think you said you left on the sixth. On what day did you realize, yeah, this is it for me, I'm done?
Um, that's a great question. It wasn't. Let me see. Give me a second. I don't really remember what day it was when it hit me like I'm done. It was just a feeling that I had when I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not arguing anymore.
She was done after he kept pressing her on, you know, you gonna put out? Like, what we doing? How long you gonna lay? You gonna lay in the bed with me every single 7 days? You gonna lay in the bed with me and not even? So I think after, who knows, maybe the second time he probably asked or and made the move, and she was like, nah. that's when she was kind of like, bro, I'm good. So she knew when she was done.
I'm not being upset anymore. You know, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, this day I got mad. It was just really like a feeling like I don't want to feel like this. I don't have to feel like this, you know? So that's really what happened. I don't know what day that was. I really don't know. It was probably the day I booked the flight, to be honest. But I just had a feeling. I'm like, I don't want to argue with this man anymore. I don't want to be uncomfortable in a foreign country with this man anymore. So that's really what it was. But afterwards, I didn't want to have a dating relationship with Eric anymore because I think Eric can still be a great person. So I was hoping that we can have a platonic, just cordial.
No. Hell no. Hell to the no. Never. End it. If he accepts this, he's a grade A sucker. Y'all didn't meet on the platonic, pop the balloon of fine platonic love. So she's saying, I don't want to be physical with you. You ain't getting none of this. And that's her right. But to sit here, listen, let me explain something to y'all. When you submit a job application in, if the job rejects your application, do you still go back to that job? Are you still following up? They already said you're not qualified. We don't want you. And am I comparing this to a job application? Kind of, because when they met and they did the whole pop the balloon, you were checking, you know what? Your name, check. Your qualifications, check. Everything starts to check out. You hung out all week. Honestly, I think she knew she didn't want to be physical with him when he was spending time with her in Austin. I also think that when she went down in Houston, she was entertaining somebody else. Nothing against her because they're not together exclusively, but like she said after the show, a lot of things happened. My life was just guys were hitting her up. Ball player. Houston? Houston? Ballers down there. Athletes. Come on. Dudes getting money. Come out to Houston, baby. Just for one night. Well, I got somebody up here. A friend. I bet you the text. A friend came here to visit me from Austin. It's only a couple hours. Just come hang out with me. And I'm not wrong, bro. I don't care what y'all say. But she has every right. They weren't together. But this, accepting this, don't do it. Don't do it.
Friendship afterwards. I know I didn't want to date him anymore, but I didn't want it to be as if he's out of my life completely because he is cool. Like Eric is a cool guy. Like honestly, he's cool. He has a lot of skills, but
Oh, you're cool, Eric. Oh.
his instruments. He's a really cool guy. Honestly, he has a lot of great qualities about himself. I just didn't want to date him anymore. So
Okay. Eric, anything you want to add to that? So we could just wrap this up.
Um, I take notes, so I have the dates. July 5th was the day we went to dinner. It was the day that we had a conversation. You asked me to tell you what my expectations were of you. I told you that I would like more hugs. I said you're bad at hugs. Remember that? So she
Look at her face. She don't care. She don't care, Eric. Why are you still explaining yourself, brother? It's over.
said, yeah, I'm going to work on that. And I told her that I felt like every time I gave her hugs, maybe she was feeling like it was trying to lead to something else. I'm like, no, the hug is really just a hug. Like, just put your arm around my head, and that's all it needs to be. And so she's like, yeah, I'll do better. And that was that. The dinner was great. the next morning is when I went for the run early, and I wake up early, I go for the run. So when I came back, she wanted to have a conversation that afternoon because she said things were seeming weird and I seemed distant. So I was trying to explain to her why I was distant. First of all, I was tired, but second of all, I'm just trying to give you some space, and I don't want to feel like I'm overcrowding you, essentially. And it was literally within 20 minutes of that conversation, she sent me the text, "Can you take me to the airport?" So it came out of nowhere, literally.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, after this trip, did you guys, I know you said, did you guys communicate at all after this trip, or was she left and that was it? I think you had mentioned you guys shared a suitcase, so eventually you had to see him again. So how did that happen?
It was cool. Like, honestly, so from everything that we just expressed to us getting back to Austin, we had conversation. Everything seemed fine. We came to understanding that we both said things that didn't need to be said. We both did things that didn't need to be done. Like, we've had conversations and everything was fine in my eyes. I thought everything was fine. When we got back to Austin, we talked about the trip. We said our goodbyes. He got his stuff, walked him to the door. He left. Yeah, and the next day he took a flight. I checked on him. I was like, "Hey, are you at the airport? Did you make it there on time?" He was like, "Yeah." It was just regular. It was regular conversation, as if you're checking in on a person who's taking a flight. That's really what it was. I made sure he landed.
But meanwhile, I was like, "Why are you checking in on me after you've just walked away from me?" You know, like the thing was weird to me.
True.
Because I was like, if this is a simple disagreement two people can have, we've apologized to each other,
Why leave?
so we continue.
Where you going?
It's 2 arguments. It's not enough to decide you don't want to speak to someone anymore.
So in your head, after that trip and, after she was checking in on you, you were still in the thought process that you guys were still dating?
After the I'm sorry, I forgive you, I forgive you. I thought, okay, yeah, we're back on track. We've sorted it out.
Okay.
So
And then, so how did you find out that you guys are no longer dating?
well, she sent me some pictures to edit. I edited the pictures. I sent them back to her. She went to London, which we by the way, we had a whole day because she booked the trip at 6 p.m. on the 6th. So we had still the whole day to spend together. We were sitting on the couch. We were cuddling on the couch.
This
finally.
is in Austin?
No, this was still.
Oh,
This
so
was
you're
the day after.
backtracking back to
I'm
Greece.
backtracking, yeah. So she's already had a decision to leave. She's already bought the tickets. There's nothing we can do about that.
Okay.
We've apologized to each other. She's more calm. I'm more calm. So from that point on, I'm like, okay, well, maybe everything's fine.
Okay.
So the next day when the day
When she
the
leaves.
6th, yeah, the day she's leaving, we're still cuddling on the couch. Like we watched a movie together. We went to breakfast. So that's where the confusion is, because it's like, if you're that angry, why are you so comfortable still being next to me, still cuddling with me? See what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it just creates a lot of
So
confusion
then
for me.
from Austin to Las Vegas, she said, obviously she's checking on you, make sure you get there okay. In your head, everything's still good.
No, when I got to her apartment, I had to ask her one last time. I'm like, tell me straightforward. Are we still good? Are we not good? Are we not dating?
Yeah.
She's like, no, I have no interest in further dating. So I was
Okay.
like, all right, sounds good. I won't bring it up anymore.
Got
And
it.
from
So
that point
that
on,
was the last point.
from that point on, yeah, it was done. But the next morning, she's still checking on me on my flights. So again, see what I'm saying? I'm like, if we're done, why are you checking on me?
I mean, she said she thinks you're a cool person.
Yeah, she friend zoned him. That's what she was doing. Oh, I just want to see if you're okay. I don't give a fuck. Why you don't text me? My application's been denied. I don't want this job anymore. I'm going to apply across the street.
I understand, but
You're a
I'm not.
human
I'm
being
not.
that she
I'm not
cared for at one
looking. I'm not
point.
looking for no friends. I got plenty female friends that are just my friends.
Okay.
So it's like, if we're not dating, like,
So you want to just
cut the losses
cold
and move
turkey,
on.
That's it. We're done.
Yeah, which is what I tried to do. I just didn't respond anymore, and I was just, just letting it fizzle out. It's only been a month. That's not, anyone can recover from that.
Yeah.
There's no hard emotional investment.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously we.
It's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much everything I had. Any final thoughts on your end? No, Jocelyn's like, no.
Look at her face. Look at her face. Unfazed, unbothered.
Investment.
Okay. All right.
Look at
Well,
her face.
obviously
It's
we,
just how it goes sometimes.
Look
yeah,
at her shake her
yeah.
head. Agreeing.
Well, that's pretty much everything I had. Any final thoughts on your end?
Exactly.
No, Jocelyn's like, no.
I don't care about this nigga. I don't got nothing to say to him.
All right. So, any upcoming projects that we should be on the lookout from either one of you, Jocelyn?
No, I don't have any upcoming projects coming up. Nothing.
Okay. She said, "I'm gonna stick to my 9 to 5. That's it."
Yeah, I got a 9 to 5. That's it. That's all I got going
Hey, we
right
love
now.
that too.
Yeah.
And then Eric, what about for yourself?
Nothing. Just still on the road, traveling, doing my training.
Okay.
Yeah, simple.
All right. Well, I do thank you both for coming on today. Talking.
That's crazy. Another one in the history books. I called it. I stand by what I said. I think that's exactly what happened. It's all good. Maybe you shouldn't go on trips with people after you met them for a week, only hung out with them for a week. But you live and you learn. And these people are grown. They can do whatever they want. It's their money. Uh, Appreciate it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. What was the argument about? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I know something I don't know. Usually, the tea usually comes out in some of these platforms and shade room and all that, like with the other dude with the you're not qualified guy. So things eventually come out. So maybe I'll do a follow up when we actually do here, or not, or maybe not, and it just find out what happens on the next episode of Pop the Balloon or Find Love. Peace.